7 cities built.
By JT.
From the Discovery Channel, a special presentation.
Did you do it?
He is one of the worst serial killers in history.
A body was recovered under a mattress near JFK Airport.
He strangled his victims with his bare hands.
Just grab it and hold on. Basically till my hands got tired.
Dismembered their bodies.
Separated the bones.
Felt no remorse.
I walked in the bedroom and killed her with as much thought as an insect. Okay, cockroach.
Over a 4-year period, Joel Rifkin brutally murdered 17 women.
If I hadn't been caught that night, would it have been 18, 19, or whatever?
What is your verdict?
Guilty.
What drives a person to kill?
Am I just evil? Am I brain damaged? These are questions I want to answer.
Now, science searches for the answers. From animal studies that measure the effects of abuse, to neurological exams that test the human brain,
Just watch my finger.
to brain scans that can actually watch a killer think.
He has a brain that's vulnerable to become violent.
Find out what science tells us about serial killer Joel Rifkin. What science can reveal when it goes inside the mind of a killer.
From the Discovery Channel, The Mind of a Killer, with Steve Avison.
This is Attica Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison in upstate New York that houses some of the most violent criminals in the United States. 2,200 inmates are serving time here. 1/3 are cold-blooded murderers. Among them, the most vicious serial killer in the history of New York State. Attica is where he'll spend the rest of his life.
When Joel Rifkin was finally arrested, he stunned the country with his confession.
Mr. Rifkin has spoke of 17 homicides that he committed.
After the confession, a frantic search for bodies.
On 5/13, they recovered a body in an oil drum in northern Brooklyn. Yesterday, a body was recovered under a mattress near JFK Airport.
Rifkin's killing spree lasted from 1989 to 1993. He murdered women, brutally strangling them with his hands. He was sentenced to more than 200 years in prison.
You have been found to have knowingly committed the most heinous act one can commit against a fellow human being, the taking of a life.
Rifkin is now in solitary confinement for his own protection. He agreed to talk to us. He says he wants to know why he killed 17 times.
I'd like to know what happened. I mean, I didn't start out with my goal to end up here. I mean, the crime, what I was accused of, was more than normal, more than simple tragic crime. And now it's, how did I get here? Is there something wrong? Is there nothing wrong? Am I just evil? Am I brain damaged? And these are questions I want to answer.
Rifkin was 30 years old when he murdered the first woman, a prostitute he brought to his childhood home in East Meadow, New York. He began by beating her with a metal object.
It was an old howitzer shell from World War II. And I ended up beating her severely on the head with that until I basically got tired of swinging it. And I have no idea how many times that was.
But she was still breathing, moving. So Rifkin grabbed her throat.
I wrapped around her head and we wrestled for a while and she was strangled to death.
That first victim has never been identified because Rifkin used a small knife to dismember her body.
I took an X-Acto knife, a little hobby knife, and basically removed her limbs, her legs, head. I guessed approximately where the joints were and just cut everything around them and separated the bones. Made little packages and drove as far as the Jersey, Pennsylvania border with some of them. As far away as I could get on that much gas.
Distributed them many different places?
Small as I could, as far as I could. Just make it all go away.
Were you sorry at all?
I'm not sure I felt anything. It was just something that happened, and had no plans to repeat it. Just go away, go on with my normal life. Just forget about it.
But over the next 4 years, Rifkin killed at least 16 more times. Police say his victims were prostitutes, easy targets whose disappearance often goes unreported or even unnoticed. Rifkin says he could never predict which woman he would kill and which he would spare.
Once it started, it wasn't every girl. It was the occasional girl. It was, I could be with a girl on a Friday, another girl on a Saturday, be with a second girl on Saturday, and she'd end up dead. And the others were fine. And then be with a girl on Monday, and she'd be fine. So I never understood it.
Rifkin says he adjusted the time and place he would see prostitutes in a conscious attempt to keep himself from killing.
I even switched from night to day because there's more people. So again, less likely to happen. That didn't work out either. Again, it just would occur.
He says in the moment of each murder, he felt no hesitation, no remorse.
There was no thought of if I should let go of this person's throat or keep holding the person's throat or any thought at all. Just grab it and hold on. Basically till my hands got tired.
He killed for the last time in Manhattan on June 24th, 1993 at dawn. His final victim, 22-year-old Tiffany Bresciani. He brought her body back to his family home.
I stopped at a parking lot, wrapped the body in the tarp, put her in the trunk. Mom borrowed the car. Mom brings the car home. I drove Mom to work. I then put the body in the garage, wrapped up in the tarp.
3 days later, in the middle of the night, he put the body in his pickup truck and drove off. The police began to chase him, not because of the body, but because his license plate had fallen off. They discovered the body almost immediately, but they did not know they had a serial killer until hours later, after Rifkin had confessed to 16 additional murders.
How did you feel when it was clear that it was over?
I wasn't angry at myself, wasn't angry at the police. It was, you know, I was calm about it.
Even now, Rifkin says his crimes are a mystery to him.
Did you feel like you were in control or that you were out of control?
Behaving mechanically, autopilot, completing a task, just starting something and finishing it. Just autopilot's the best way to describe it.
Do you think you could answer the question, why?
That's, to me, the real mystery. You know, why? Why am I different from, let's say, you or anybody else? How did you get through school and high school and go to college and get what's considered a normal 9-to-5 job and fit into society, and how come I didn't? That's what puzzles me.
To try to figure out why he killed, Rifkin agreed to let neurologist Jonathan Pincus examine him.
I'm going to do some tests.
To see if the root of his violence can be found in his brain.
Keep your eyes right on my finger.
When we come back, the search for the causes of violence takes scientists inside the human brain and into the animal kingdom.
Every Tuesday on the Discovery Channel, investigators locate clues invisible to the naked eye. This week, a missing woman's pillowcase yields a fingerprint, but is it enough to connect a killer to the crime? Watch The New Detectives tomorrow at 9 on the Discovery Channel.
My doctor says I'm healthier than he is. I swim every day. It takes your mind off your troubles.
If you suffer from arthritis pain, speak to your doctor.
The lake is good for your soul.
Tylenol Arthritis Pain, the strength to provide all-day relief with just 2 tablets. And it's gentler on your stomach.
When I swim, I'm free.
Tylenol Arthritis Pain.
Amazing digital music and video with the Intel Pentium 4 processor, the center of your digital world.
This is the Discovery Channel. On now, Mind of a Killer.
Another rollback saves the day by saving you even more. Walmart, always low prices, always.
The stock market. A year ago, it was how high is high. Now everyone's asking where's the bottom. Janice has gotten through tough times the same way we've gotten ahead, picking stocks one at a time, looking for opportunities for over 30 years. Janice is looking right now to be in the right place when a downturn turns into a better day. Get there. Janice Mutual Funds.
Get ready to drop. You gotta watch a Croctober. Crikey, they're naughty. Croc Hunter in October. Whack. Every night. Every night. Home Animal Planet. It's really grumpy. Watch Croctober. And look at this. All October. It's Croctober. Every night it's Steve Irwin at his best. Wow. All month long, starting at 8 Eastern and Pacific. Woo! Only on Animal Planet.
Have tired, achy muscles got you down? Now you can get an uplifting total body massage anywhere you want with Electrosage from IGEA. Perfect for massaging your aching back, sore arms, shoulders, any muscle group. And now IGEA Electrosage comes with 8 massaging pads.
As a doctor, I can tell you the results are amazing.
You can even use it to pamper and work the muscles of the face. Gentle waves penetrate deep into the muscles, targeting the muscle fibers. Also available, this extra large butterfly pad, designed for the larger muscles of the back, chest, and legs. Call right now and we'll give you this IGEA Marine Sport watch. Yours free. Get the IGEA Electrosage with 8 massaging pads and the free IGEA Marine Sport watch. All for this low price. Ask about how you can get the free instructional video.
Call 1-800-531-6776 to order your new IGEA Electrosage for only $39.95, complete with 8 massaging pads. You'll also get the Sleek Marine Sport watch, yours free, just pay shipping and handling. Call 1-800-531-6776.
The Mind of a Killer continues. Once again, Steve Avison.
At the time of the murders, Joel Rifkin lived here at the family home in East Meadow, New York, just outside of New York City. When looking for clues as to why Rifkin became a serial killer, it is tempting to begin here to see if there was any past abuse or traumatic experience that may have triggered the violence.
Jean Rifkin still lives in the same house where many of the murders took place. She says she tries not to dwell on her son's gruesome crimes.
What's done is done, and I say, tomorrow is another day. It's the only way I can function.
To this day, she has trouble accepting the murders her son committed.
I really don't know how I feel. I mean, I can't forgive what he did, but I can forgive him.
Joel Rifkin was just an infant when he was adopted in 1959. Jean Rifkin remembers how thrilled she was to finally bring a baby home.
It was delightful. He was a very sweet, friendly kid, interested in a lot of things, had a smile for everybody.
Another baby, a girl, was adopted a few years later. Both Rifkin and his mother paint the same picture of the family, one with plenty of love and support. They insist there was absolutely no abuse at home.
And in your childhood, no abuse of any kind?
Except for the schoolyards, no.
Rifkin impressed his parents with his curiosity, but early on he began to struggle. Severe dyslexia made it difficult to read, and physically he was extremely uncoordinated. His parents tried to help.
We gave him a lot of attention, and well, he was a very willing subject. I mean, he loved to be read to. So, I mean, he was always interested in everything.
Still, from an early age, Rifkin had trouble fitting in with other kids in the neighborhood.
We had a bunch of kids a little bit older than him, but some his age, right here in the neighborhood, and they used to play ball on the corner, and he would sit there dying to play, dying to be part of the group. They wouldn't let him play.
Things were even worse at school, where Rifkin was brutally teased by peers.
I managed to hang on the edges. They kept basically pushing me away, and I kept coming back. And that caused a lot of other tensions in school.
His social skills were apparently not well developed. And I think this may have been one of the reasons that he was the patsy or the scapegoat so often.
Rifkin was the target of pranks and physical attacks. Everything from being shoved against a locker to having his head pounded against the ground. Only rarely did Rifkin tell his parents about the attacks. When he did, they tried not to intervene.
So we just tried to reassure him and tried to show him that he can't allow this to happen, that he has to fight back even if he gets hurt.
But through all the pain and embarrassment, Rifkin never defended himself.
I kind of learned if you did fight back, you got really decked. It just wasn't getting hurt, it was getting beaten.
Then in 1987, after a brief battle with cancer, Rifkin's father committed suicide. 2 years later, the killing spree began.
Most of the killings seemed to happen within a week of some type of personal anniversary or holiday. The first one was the second anniversary of my father's death.
Was Rifkin's killing spree somehow triggered by traumatic events like his father's suicide or his own experience of being bullied? In fact, over the years, scientists have found that many killers were taunted as children, raising the general question, can constant humiliation or abuse actually lead to violence? Dr. Peter Breggin, with the International Center for the Study of Psychiatry, thinks it can.
Most people who commit murder, in fact, don't feel strong, but feel weak, ashamed. And every time we create situations where people are continually ridiculed and humiliated and put down, we are going to have violence.
But how do you actually prove the link between violence and past abuse? Dr. Craig Ferris from the University of Massachusetts is trying to answer that crucial question by studying hamsters.
This is an adult hamster. They're really a wonderful animal to study for aggression because...
Ferris chose hamsters because they exhibit aggressive behavior but never physically harm each other. He performs a social experiment on the animals that he could never do on humans, manipulating their environment to see exactly how abuse might affect aggression. He takes an adolescent hamster, marked here with green tape, and puts it in an abusive situation, the home cage of an older, bigger hamster.
The larger, more aggressive hamster will chase the smaller animal around. It'll threaten it, it'll nip it.
Even though the hamster is not physically injured, the constant threats drastically change its behavior. As an adult, the abused animal becomes more afraid of hamsters that are the same size or just a little bigger. But when faced with smaller, weaker hamsters, it becomes even more aggressive than normal and ruthlessly attacks them.
When we talk about this, people say, well, you've created the playground bully, you know, that'll run in and you know, attack smaller, weaker children and run away from kids that are a little bit larger or the same size.
This change in behavior is fueled in part by a change in biology, in the body's response to the brain chemicals vasopressin and serotonin. After abuse, the hamster's brain becomes extremely sensitive to vasopressin, the attack chemical that tells the body to fight. At the same time, it becomes almost numb to serotonin, the brain's peacemaker. The result, when encountering a smaller hamster, the abused animal becomes highly aggressive, with nothing to hold it back.
I think this is just because the appropriate checks and balances aren't there between the serotonin and vasopressin systems.
The implications for humans worry Dr. Ferris.
There are a lot of principles and rules in neurobiology that certainly apply across different brains. And so if we're doing this to our hamsters, then you have to think that, similar things could be happening to our kids.
Experiments in primates produce even more troubling results, suggesting that it does not always take physical abuse to change biology and behavior. Emotional abuse, or just growing up without supervision, seems to have the same results. In one remarkable study, young rhesus monkeys like these were taken from their mothers to grow up with only their peers. Without adult care, the young monkeys turned violent. Psychologist Gary Kramer conducted the experiments at the University of Wisconsin.
So aggression, or unusual aggression, if you will, is one of the legacies of not having a particular kind of early rearing experience.
For Joel Rifkin, did the childhood teasing and bullying leave a legacy of violence?
The only thing I can put my finger on is that all of this abuse over the years must have had a tremendous impact on him. But what the trigger was, why this one and not that one, that is something to be discovered.
I didn't plan to end up in Attica. Okay, a lot of guys who have very similar lives to mine, they don't end up in Attica. Not only do they end up in Attica, but they don't end up killing 17 people.
When we return,
Make a fist with one hand and just tap.
searching for a biological explanation of murder. A basic neurological exam of Joel Rifkin and high-tech scans that go inside his brain.
Every Tuesday on the Discovery Channel, forensic investigators locate clues invisible to the naked eye, where science pieces together the truth and a single thread can tie up the case. This week on The New Detectives, a missing woman's bloodstained pillowcase yields a patent fingerprint. But does the print have enough detail to connect a killer to the crime? Find the link. Solve the case. Watch The New Detectives tomorrow at 9 on the Discovery Channel.
Is not finished.
From the Hughes brothers,
I want you.
Johnny Depp, Heather Graham.
There's something wrong, my dear.
Fear has a new address. From Hell, rated R. Friday, only in theaters.
This is the Discovery Channel. On now, Mind of a Killer.
The bow. Resistance becomes strength. Becomes power. The power to change and reshape your entire body. This is Bowflex, an entire gem-in-one easy-to-use machine. So powerful, it delivers over 60 health club quality exercises with up to 410 pounds of resistance in any room in your home. Strength training with Bowflex is so effective that we guarantee you'll get the results you want in 6 weeks or less. One simple workout. 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. Bowflex is real. The results are real. And you can own one with no money down and payments as low as $33 per month. Call right now for a free video and brochure. Bowflex, the power is yours.
This is the Discovery Channel. On now, Mind of a Killer. And tomorrow, forensic science helps The New Detectives. The Mind of a Killer continues. Here again, Steve Avison.
Joel Rifkin says there was nothing in his past, no trauma or abuse, that can fully explain just why he became a killer. So after his arrest, his attorney ordered brain scans and other medical tests to see if Rifkin had a brain dysfunction that might have sparked the murders. The tests were conducted here at New York's Stony Brook University Hospital.
Dr. Anthony Bolton is a brain specialist who conducted the first medical examinations on Rifkin back in 1994.
He was referred by his attorney, and the question for me was, is there any kind of neurological dysfunction, neurologically based dysfunction?
Bolton put Rifkin through 11 hours of special tests.
He went through a series of what's called neuropsychological tests, And these are tests to measure behavior, in particular cognitive functioning, things like attention, memory, visual perception, language.
Bolton was struck by how normal Rifkin seemed.
In terms of behavioral observations of patients, or in this case an inmate, pretty much unremarkable in terms of his behavior. He was a regular guy, basically.
Surprisingly, he performed very well on most of the tests.
His IQ values were in the above average to superior range, actually. So this is a guy that, if you don't look pretty carefully, you would not find any kind of neurologic deficit. Here we have words, the words red, green, and blue.
But according to Bolton, Rifkin did show some signs of trouble. First, on a test demonstrated here with a volunteer. The test measures whether a person can follow instructions while ignoring conflicting information. Here's how it works.
Your job here is not to read the word, but to name the color that the word is printed in. So, for example, what would you say for this one?
Red.
Yeah.
Blue.
That's right, and this?
Red.
Yeah.
And green.
Right, good.
The trick is to ignore the written word and instead say the color it's printed in.
Go.
Blue, red, green, blue, blue, green, red.
There's the tendency, and we would all have this tendency.
I'm sorry, that's red and blue.
To read the word. That's the natural tendency.
Red, green.
Halfway through the test, Rifkin lost control.
He basically just started giggling and laughing uncontrollably during this task, such that we had to stop it and continue, and that's very unusual. Next, I'd like you to put your hands out.
His performance on another test showed even more signs of dysfunction.
Beginning with your right hand, when I go like this, I'm going to ask you to go like this. If I knock once, his response is to lift his index finger briefly and put it down. Now, when I go like this, I'm going to ask you to do nothing. If I knock twice, his response is to do nothing at all, not to twitch, not to move whatsoever.
The objective, once again, to follow a set of rules while ignoring a natural impulse.
Saw a little flinch there.
Out of 100 tries, most people make a mistake only once or twice. But Rifkin failed 16 times.
In other words, he had difficulty inhibiting a motor response, even when he knew that it was incorrect.
What does it mean when someone is unable to inhibit a motor response?
It means that, in this case, they had difficulty controlling their movements, controlling their behavior.
Bolton says it also indicates that Rifkin's brain does not function properly.
Based on my tests, there are strong indications that he had problems with behavioral control and impulse control, and that it was neurologically based.
The diagnosis in the final medical report? Moderate dysfunction in the frontal systems of Rifkin's brain. The frontal systems include the frontal lobe and a section inside called the prefrontal cortex.
The frontal lobes, you can think of them as sort of the central processor of the brain, connected to everything else, mediating everything else, modulating everything else.
Their main job is to supervise, to coordinate other parts of the brain in organizing movement and behavior, making decisions, and regulating impulses, including violent ones.
The frontal lobe provides judgment. It allows us to say, don't say that, don't do that.
Dr. Jonathan Pincus is a neurologist at Georgetown University who has tested the brains of more than 100 killers. He is an expert at evaluating the frontal lobe.
A third of the brain is the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe is the thing that really needs to be assessed in people who are having difficulty controlling their impulses.
Scientists think the frontal lobe acts like the brain's emergency brake. The theory is, if the frontal lobe is working properly, it keeps us from acting on violent urges. But if it is not working correctly, the urges get through and turn into action.
The frontal lobe probably is not the location of the impulse. It's the location of the dampening of that impulse, the control of that impulse.
The most aggressive impulses begin deep inside the brain in the limbic system. It is one of the most primitive areas. the same area that makes animals lash out when they're hungry or threatened. Many scientists think that without the frontal lobe, these violent impulses would completely overwhelm the brain.
It can be quite a savage place if it's unrestrained, and the frontal lobe tends to restrain it and inhibit it. When the frontal lobe isn't working, it just does its thing.
Dr. Pincus agreed to come with us to Attica Prison to evaluate Rifkin and do his own tests on Rifkin's frontal lobe.
And just watch my finger, but keep your eyes right on my finger.
Just like the exam at Stony Brook, these tests look simple, but they are designed to measure whether Rifkin can complete an activity without getting distracted by other impulses in the brain.
Put your hands on your lap this way, make a fist with one hand, and just tap. Now, with each blow, I want you to alternate. See what I'm doing?
Rifkin makes repeated mistakes, a sign Pincus says that his frontal lobe cannot focus and block out other urges in the brain. For instance, the urge to make identical motions with both hands.
Okay, all right. Just alternating palm and fist strikes is something he couldn't do.
Another test.
Left-handed? Yeah. Okay, so start with your left hand and go like this, and do it with me. Palm, fist, side. Palm, fist. No, do the fist this way. Fist.
Again,
side.
Rifkin struggles.
Palm. You say it as you do it. Palm, say it out loud.
Fist. Palm, fist, side.
There you go.
Palm, fist, side.
Okay.
Yeah, right side.
Right. Forget it. That means the frontal lobe of his brain isn't working properly. It seems trivial, but it's not. It's an inability to pay attention. He was trying desperately hard to do the right thing and to succeed.
Since each test tells Pincus a little more, he continues until he has a clear understanding of how Rifkin's brain works.
His IQ is superior. It's 120. But the tests that reflect frontal function are defective. Seriously defective.
And that explains it.
And that explains why he wasn't able to control his impulses. It doesn't really explain why he has those impulses.
Dr. Pincus came to the same conclusion today that Dr. Bolton did in 1994 after Rifkin's arrest. Joel Rifkin has a dysfunctional brain.
He must have something wrong with his brain. This activity, these thoughts, these urges and impulses are coming from his brain. His inability to control them is the result of brain disease.
The conclusions I drew were that there was dysfunction in frontal systems of the brain. If I had to speculate, I would say it was very much consistent with someone who had a tendency to do things or to have behaviors that, even though he may know they're wrong, were uncontrollable.
In Rifkin's case, the murderous impulses came with a very bright mind, a combination that proved lethal.
The fact that he was able to murder so many people without getting caught testifies to the fact that he was a very high-functioning individual, cognitively and intellectually in general, but had the very specific problems with impulse control.
Even Rifkin wonders if he might be hardwired to kill. He thinks the final answer might lie in a scan of his brain.
You can't fake that. It's either there or it's not there. This is the picture of your brain, and this area is working or it's not working. And it's up to the scientists to decide what that means.
When we come back, a look at Joel Rifkin's brain scan and the new courtroom defense. My brain made me do it.
We've examined the enemy by going behind the terror. Now, the Discovery Channel goes inside the war.
The United States military has begun strikes.
What will it take to win the war against terrorism? We'll do a weapons check, from the unmatched power of the B-1 and B-2 stealth to the elusive F-14 Tomcat. We'll go beyond GPS to the most accurate and sophisticated spy surveillance anywhere. And we'll join special agents for Shadow Warrior training. Weapons of the New War. Friday at 9 Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel.
Recently at Hamilton Beach, Dr. Ted Berdiak wanted a better way to fight odors. Unsatisfied with air fresheners that only mask odors, the doctor had a breakthrough and created True Air. Day and night, it fought the worst area odors: tobacco,
cat litter, even stinky kitchen, with True Air's revolutionary odor cleaning system. Why was the doctor so obsessed? We may never know. True Air from Hamilton Beach inhales odors so you don't have to.
Test your market IQ. Fill in the blank. S and blank 500. Time's up. If you said the letter P, you're savvy enough to invest in spiders. Spiders work like an S&P 500 index fund and trade just like stocks, with very low fees and taxes. How smart is that? Call 1-800-THE-AMEX.
This is the Discovery Channel. On now, Mind of a Killer.
Asthma was watching my kids grow up and not always being able to participate.
Advair is an asthma product that's clinically proven to improve lung function and increase symptom-free days to help you do more of the things you want to do. That's because Advair is the first and only product to effectively treat the two main components of asthma, airway constriction and inflammation. Just one inhalation, morning and night. Advair won't replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be taken more than twice a day. People switching from an oral steroid like prednisone to Advair, which contains an inhaled steroid, need to be especially careful. While adjusting to the switch, your body may not be as able to heal after surgery, infection, or serious injury. If you have heart or blood pressure problems, tell your doctor. Some people may experience a change in heart rhythm. See your doctor if your asthma does not improve. Ask your doctor if Advair is right for you. Advair, because life should take your breath away, not asthma.
One of the best things we do is we run the ball really well. On this particular play, we faked it to Edgerrin. These four guys are trying to kill me. And Marvin is running this post route all the way over here. Marvin and I are on the same page, so it's important for Marvin to come open on time so I don't have to get hit. And I put just enough air under the ball to throw it to him in the end zone.
For Marvin Harrison, Marvin's got it, touchdown!
Touchdown pass for Peyton Manning's quarterback rating.
Hello, Clary. Dr. Lecter is back on pay-per-view.
How can I be of service?
With a fresh set of bad table manners.
I've enjoyed many excellent meals there.
But this time, you'll get a special reward.
Okie dokie.
How'd you do that?
It's easy. When you order Hannibal on Blockbuster Ticket only on DirecTV, you'll receive a certificate for a free $5 Blockbuster gift card.
Whew. Everyone's gonna be happy.
I believe you. Just tune to the 100s and order with your remote. What are you waiting for?
Come on up.
The Mind of a Killer continues. Once again, Steve Avison.
In separate medical exams, two doctors reached the same conclusion. Joel Rifkin shows signs of a brain disorder. But what does Rifkin's brain, or the brain of any killer, actually look like? Today, advanced technology allows scientists to peer inside the minds of killers to see if a picture of their brain offers further insight to violent behavior.
In 1994, at the request of Joel Rifkin's attorney, doctors took a magnetic resonance image, an MRI, of Rifkin's brain. MRIs are static pictures that show what the brain looks like. They can reveal growths or lesions, physical abnormalities that can short-circuit the brain.
If you were anticipating the imaging of a violent person, what would you be looking for?
You want to make sure they don't have a tumor or a mass pressing on any portion of the brain, which could cause them to have behavioral changes. There are many reports people have masses, they have personality changes, they lose their patience.
Dr. Patricia Roach is a neuroradiologist at Stony Brook University Hospital in New York. She is a colleague of the doctor who originally evaluated Rifkin's brain scans.
What do you see in Joel Rifkin's MRI scan?
Basically, it's a very normal brain. Here we have select images, a coronal, what's called the T1 image. There are no abnormal bright spots in the brain tissue itself to signify a tumor or an infarction. So it's basically a very normal brain.
But even though the structure of Rifkin's brain appears normal, it still may not function properly. To find out, doctors at Stony Brook took an even more revealing image, one that showed Rifkin's brain literally in action. It's called functional brain imaging. SPECT and PET scans that show how hard different areas of the brain work.
Indirectly, you see function, not just structure.
I need you to hold perfectly still for me.
Advanced brain scans are basically color-coded maps that show how much energy individual parts of the brain use. Red indicates lots of activity.
Just 10 years ago, the question of what does the mind of a murderer look like is a question that was a province of pulp fiction or science fiction movies. Yet now it's reality, and it's been made a reality by scientific technical advances.
Dr. Adrian Rain has dedicated his career to studying the roots of violence. He is using brain scans to examine the frontal lobes of killers, the same area of the brain that Dr. Jonathan Pincus believes helps turn people violent.
We had a theory that the frontal region of the brain may be dysfunctional in violent offenders, functioning more poorly in murderers.
The theory that impulses are controlled by the frontal lobe dates back to 1848 to a railroad worker named Phineas Gage. An explosion sent this metal rod 3.5 feet long through his skull. It tore through Gage's brain, destroying the prefrontal cortex and leaving a gaping hole in his head. This is Gage's actual skull. Incredibly, he survived the accident, but it turned him into a mean and violent man.
That gave us the model that perhaps when we damage this part of the brain, this may lead to impulsive, aggressive behavior. And this is effectively what we found in our brain imaging study of the murderers.
In a landmark study at the University of Southern California, Dr. Rain scanned the brains of 41 convicted murderers and 41 nonviolent people after they concentrated on a series of numbers in a task known to stimulate the frontal lobe.
The task goes on for 32 minutes. It's a very boring task, but the prefrontal cortex is that part of the brain that's involved in maintaining attention, in vigilance. So we know that this psychological task activates that part of the brain that we thought is functioning poorly in murderers. It activates the prefrontal cortex.
Here is a scan from one of the normal brains. Everything looks symmetrical, and there is plenty of red in the frontal lobe and prefrontal cortex, indicating healthy normal functioning in this region of the brain. This is a scan from one of the killer's brains. As a group, killers show almost no red, almost no activity in the prefrontal cortex. Rain says their impulse control center does not work properly.
So if you are to make me angry and I'm lacking prefrontal regulatory control, I'm more likely to get my knife out and stick it in you.
This is the scan of Joel Rifkin's brain, taken at Stony Brook back in 1994. Highlighted here, his prefrontal cortex. Doctors believed that Rifkin's frontal lobes showed regular activity. The hospital's final analysis? Normal.
We felt that the activity throughout the brain was acceptable and within normal limits.
For a second opinion, we took Rifkin's scan to Dr. Daniel Amen, an expert in evaluating the brain scans of killers. He came to a very different conclusion.
It shows significant abnormalities, especially in his prefrontal cortex, that part of his brain right toward the front. And we see it on multiple views in this SPECT scan.
Amen says there's too little red here and that it is not symmetrical, showing poor functioning in Rifkin's prefrontal cortex. That's part of the same area that Dr. Rain found dysfunctional in murderers, and that Dr. Bolton and Dr. Pincus also found defective in Joel Rifkin's brain. Even Dr. Roach admits that Stony Brook's findings may not be accurate.
It's an interpretation. It's not an exact science, it's more of an art.
An art, she says, that is constantly evolving.
There may be more research in the past 5 years that has gone on.
Is there any explanation for why it would not have been interpreted the way you interpret it today?
When I go back and look at scans that we first started doing in 1990, when I'd looked at 20 of them or 50 of them or even 100 of them, I mean, now that I've looked at 7,000, I read them completely different. So I think it has to do with experience, how many people have you seen, how many scans have you read, and so on.
What do you see when you look at Joel Rifkin's brain scan?
Well, when I look at his brain, what I see is a brain that's vulnerable to violence.
What causes that vulnerability? Past studies have shown that killers are created by their environment, by poverty, abuse, and neglect. But today, scientists are finding that's not always the case.
There are some murderers who have a completely normal background history and then one day they snap
To try to find out what causes the brain dysfunction in killers, Dr. Adrian Rain conducted a second, more ambitious study, looking at the family backgrounds of killers. He divided the killers into two groups: those from bad homes who suffered physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, and those from good homes with no abuse. Remarkably, almost all of the killers from good homes, those who had suffered no abuse, had less activity, less red in the prefrontal cortex than killers who were abused.
If you're a violent offender and you come from a good home background, then the explanation of your violence may lie less in terms of your environment, which is quite benign and good, and the explanation may likely more lie in brain dysfunction. And that's exactly what we found.
Rain looked at a variety of possible explanations, including head injuries, tumors or lesions, and mental illness. He found none of these could account for the dysfunction in the prefrontal cortex. That led him to a stunning conclusion.
It's quite conceivable that the cause of the brain dysfunction in these murderers is not due to the environment. It may be due to genetics.
Rain admits it's hard to accept a genetic basis for violence.
Society has always resisted the notion that there's a biological and brain basis to violent behavior, to murder.
What if every test that could be done is done, and there's not a thing wrong with your brain?
Then that's who I am. But in the meantime, we can keep looking.
In a moment, preventing violence. Should everyone be scanned? And taking the technology to court.
We're going to be taking some pictures of your brain.
Is the scan of a bad brain enough to set a killer free?
Asteroids have always been a threat.
It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when.
Now we're landing on them before they land on us. The Discovery Channel gets exclusive access to the first ever asteroid landing. What will we find? Now evidence reveals that instead of destroying life, these balls of fire could have had a hand in creating it.
Amino acids, complex organics. So what else do you need to get life started?
Fireballs from Space. Sunday at 9 Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel.
Every car has its moment. This one has thousands per second. The new BMW 3 Series.
Tomorrow, expect more from DVD. Star Wars Episode 1. The critics agree. It includes the best Dolby Digital 5.1 sound we've heard on DVD. Star Wars Episode 1 on DVD October 16th.
This is experience. This is discipline. This is how investors make it through volatile markets. At Merrill Lynch, we guide our clients through market uncertainty by reassessing their risk, their asset allocation, and their financial goals. This is what a Merrill Lynch financial advisor does. And these are the times when we do it best.
This is the Discovery Channel. On now, Mind of a Killer.
If new Body Smarts was just a new nutrition bar with 17 essential vitamins and minerals, it would be dumb to show you images like this. But since new Body Smarts tastes as good as it is, good's not such a dumb choice. Introducing delicious new Body Smarts. Sweet just got smart.
This is Douglas Catanay. He works 2 jobs and travels 80 miles on school days. And all we're asking you to do is make a phone call. Support the American Indian College Fund, educating the mind and spirit.
This is the Discovery Channel. On now, Mind of a Killer. And tomorrow, Forensic Science helps the new detectives.
We Americans are going through a tragic time. We all have painful emotions following these hideous events. Here are some ways to get through this time of crisis. Please ask for help if you want it. Avoid repetitive viewing of the terrible images. And do something. Donate money, donate blood, volunteer. For more information, contact your local American Red Cross chapter or visit our website. Together, we can save a life.
The idea that there may be a biological cause for violence, that people who commit murder may have something wrong with their brain, has made its way into the courtroom. For the first time in 1992, here in New York State Supreme Court, the PET scan of a retired advertising executive who killed his wife was ruled admissible as evidence at a murder trial. The scan revealed a dysfunctional prefrontal cortex, which led prosecutors to offer a reduced sentence from second-degree murder to manslaughter. Since then, brain scans have been used by defendants in murder trials across the country to get criminal charges reduced or to help keep an inmate from being put to death.
If somebody commits a violent offense and it turns out that they're brain damaged, we don't say, oh, well, never mind. We do something. The question is, what do we do? And what we do to the brain damaged person is very different than what we do to the cold, calculating contract killer.
Michelle Levine is a professor of law at the University of Wisconsin and an expert in what's called the diminished capacity defense.
While the person did, in fact, intend to kill somebody, their intent doesn't look the same as in a normal person, that they don't have the same ability to rationalize, to think things through that a so-called normal person does. And so that, therefore, it's called diminished capacity with reduced penalties.
Would you please describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
For years, defense lawyers have relied on expert witnesses, psychiatrists and psychologists, to testify about a client's mental state.
And what, if anything, did the psychological testing reveal for your purposes?
It revealed that a number of things that I felt were significant.
But now, brain scans offer another option: to actually show brain dysfunction instead of having doctors talk about it.
As a lawyer, I like it. The truth is, I've never been entirely comfortable putting psychiatrists on because it's obviously so subjective. This is real. This is something that I can put in my hands, that I can bring into the courtroom, that I can have my witness touch.
Levine thinks, for the jury, seeing often leads straight to believing.
When a doctor can hold up an MRI, hold up a CAT scan of a so-called normal person, and then hold up something, the same thing from someone who's been damaged, and the jury can actually see the difference, it's tough to call it junk.
But critics like Dr. Peter Bregan argue that brain scans are just the latest form of junk science.
To use brain scans in a trial to show some sort of frontal lobe malfunction and to say that that's particularly a cause of violence is ridiculous. We don't know enough about brain function yet.
Some juries have also been skeptical of scans. In Tampa, Florida, Raymond Lamar Johnston was accused of brutally murdering a 30-year-old woman. His lawyers used brain scans to argue that he did not deserve the death penalty because he could not fully control his actions.
He's like driving a car with no brakes. Once he's started on a course of conduct, he's basically unable to stop.
In this case, the jury was not convinced. It voted to recommend Johnston be put to death.
The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged.
Nevertheless, for many attorneys, scans are one of the best ways to illustrate what's wrong with a client's brain.
Maybe we can't show it in a perfect picture, but I can sense something is wrong. And if this is the beginning of a way to get at that, then I say, hallelujah, bring it in. Let the jury decide.
Even when brain scans do persuade the jury, they have never been used to set a killer free.
We're not saying you're not responsible. We're not saying you didn't do it. What we're trying to do is understand why you did it.
Dr. Daniel Amen runs a private clinic. If you are accused of murder, as this man has been, Amen will scan your brain and testify about the results in court.
When I testify, some people worry. It's like, oh my goodness, you're going to get this person off. You're going to use it as an excuse for his behavior. And the fact is, we really don't get anybody off. Nobody, after they've killed somebody, just goes home.
Take some pictures of your brain.
Amen's clinic has examined more than 30 killers.
What we see in our killers, almost invariably, is they have a vulnerable brain.
But Amen warns that in almost every case, it takes more than a dysfunctional brain to create a killer. Studies have shown And animal experiments are beginning to prove the environment usually plays an important role too.
You know, violence isn't just a brain problem. You know, it's a brain problem together with psychological problems, together with social problems.
I think what we'd have to say is that every person is a mixture of things that are both hardwired and learned and chosen, and that we are not at the stage of being able to completely unravel the combination of them.
Dr. Monty Buxbaum has spent years trying to figure out the brain's exact role in violence and has collaborated on brain studies with Dr. Rain.
It's a bit like a chemical reaction. If you have just the environment or just genetics, then by themselves they do not create aggression and violence. But put the two together in a toxic mix, then that can lead to an explosive increase in violence later down the road.
In fact, when it comes to understanding the possible link between violence and the brain, the researchers and critics agree. Science has a very long way to go.
In fact, the brain is largely a mystery today. We don't have any real understanding of how the brain works. We are just at the beginning of this. So we're just learning how parts of the brain work together to shape personality, to control impulses, and to organize behavior.
If there is a pathway in the brain for violence, scientists will have to sort it out from a tangle of more than 10 billion individual cells and all the connections between them.
There's no serial murder spot in the brain. We'll never find a single tiny area which is the serial murder center.
The prefrontal cortex is only one piece of the brain jigsaw puzzle that makes up the violent offenders. There are a lot of different brain areas. It's not just one brain area that gives rise to aggression, it's one brain area in connection with other brain areas.
If scientists can figure out the entire pathway, or even just the crucial signposts, they might be able to identify people who are prone to violence before they strike out. But protests have already erupted over the possible misuse of brain scans by employers, insurance companies, or the government. These demonstrators disrupted a scientific conference on genetics and violent crime.
You might think that the research that you're doing, that you have a right to do it, but the bottom line is that once the research is done, it will be used for genocide. It will be used to subjugate people, it will be used for social control.
And I too share that concern. I too believe that biological research on violence should be carefully scrutinized and that we must take very careful steps to make sure that the results are not misinterpreted and not used for the wrong purposes.
Still, doctors do think that scans could become an important diagnostic tool, allowing them to customize the drugs and therapy they give to violent patients.
Biology is not destiny. We can change biology. The environment critically changes brain structure and function. By changing the environment, we can change the biological predispositions to violence.
If you don't fix their brain, you don't have a chance in hell of making a difference in their life. That's what we're going to find in the next century, is the brain matters. How it works matters, and we need to study that more and more to really answer the question on why people kill, why people steal, why people rape.
And no one, not even Joel Rifkin, believes a dysfunctional brain is an excuse for murder.
It is a heinous act. It just, maybe one could be excused. They keep repeating and repeating. I don't think you can excuse it. You can maybe explain it. Maybe we can get to a point of preventing it, like we do with regular other diseases.
Do you think if you were ever out in the world again, that you would kill again?
I didn't think I would kill again after the first one. So I can't answer that honestly. I would hope not to, but I don't think right now I could guarantee it.
Tomorrow night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, tune in for real-life forensic investigation and drama on The New Detectives. And don't forget to check out the You're on the Case fan site at discovery.com.